What if I told you that one of the most famous celebrity homes in America is quietly changing hands behind the scenes?
A man who was once a prince reportedly found himself at a party in California, emotional and opening up to people he hardly knew. According to claims that have circulated for years, he was talking about wanting a different life, a way out of the situation he was in, a way out of California, and a way out of the path he had chosen for himself.
Prince Harry, now better really get used to this life that he's created for himself.
And now, the mansion that was supposed to symbolize independence and a fresh start may already be off their hands. If that's true, it raises a lot of questions about what has really been happening behind the scenes. But to understand why this matters, we need to go back to where it all began. This story isn't really about a house, it's about a promise.
The reports here in America are that they are having major financial problems. I actually read a report last week that they may be very quietly shopping their $14 million Montecito mansion, that it may be something of a pocket listing.
When Harry and Meghan left royal life and boarded what many people nicknamed the Freedom Flight, they made it clear they were starting over. They were leaving the royal family, leaving the UK, and building a completely new future on their own terms. The message was simple. They felt restricted. They wanted privacy. They wanted control over their own lives. And for a while, it looked like everything was falling into place.
Crying, confided to these people at the party that Meghan Markle is refusing to sign the documents unless he can guarantee prevent her from putting his kids on social media.
The California mansion, the Netflix deal, the Spotify deal, the magazine covers, the foundation, the business ventures, all of it seemed designed to show they could succeed without royal support. But critics have pointed out one thing for years. The picture being presented publicly never seemed to match the questions people were asking behind the scenes. The lifestyle looked incredibly expensive, the projects faced constant scrutiny, and many observers wondered whether everything was as successful as it appeared.
Meghan is defying the King and William by using her title and royal logo, saying if the Duchess of York could do it, so can she, and there's not a thing they can do about it.
Now, 6 years later, more experts and commentators are starting to ask those same questions. Because the story coming out of Montecito today is very different from the one many people expected to hear.
So I doubt whether he would have had time to look at it, because prior to his death in August 77, he was busy planning another tour.
The so-called Freedom Flight may have taken them thousands of miles away from royal life, but some believe the destination hasn't delivered everything that was promised. Before we get into what's happening with the mansion now, and trust me, the latest reports have sparked plenty of discussion, there's something important that almost nobody talks about. Most people have never actually seen inside Harry and Meghan's real home.
Their royal marriage may be on the verge of total collapse, and the allegations coming out are absolutely explosive. Furious and visibly frustrated, Prince Harry allegedly revealed that he feels he was completely catfished by the woman he married.
Think about that for a second. Over the years, audiences have watched documentaries, interviews, promotional videos, and carefully produced behind-the-scenes moments. Yet those appearances reportedly did not take place inside the property they actually live in.
The sprawling estate became the backdrop for everything. The backdrop for their Netflix deal, their Spotify, their interviews, the magazine features, all of their business launches, their family photos. This mansion became more than a house. It became a symbol that they had successfully left the royal family behind a created new life in America.
Their Montecito estate, often referred to as the Chateau of Riven Rock, sits on roughly 7.5 acres and includes 9 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms, a movie theater, spa facilities, a wine cellar, and even a tennis court. The property was purchased in 2020 for $14.5 million. Meghan later explained that she wanted to keep their residence private and protect what she called their safe haven.
There is no parallel between a married member of the royal family, which is what Meghan is, and a divorced member of the royal family.
That's why, when Harry and Meghan filmed their headline-making Netflix documentary, they reportedly used a completely different property on Lilac Drive rather than their own home.
But 6 years later, many of the plans that were supposed to be defined by this home, this new life, everything had changed dramatically. So we know Spotify is gone. Netflix has become increasingly really uncertain. Like, what is this? They're trying not to hurt their feelings, but still be available for big breaking divorce news. Several business ventures have struggled to gain traction for them. Let's just be honest. And Harry himself appears to be spending more and more time away from his home in Montecito, pursuing separate projects. That's the reality.
And when Meghan later launched her lifestyle and cooking series, viewers once again weren't seeing the family's actual residence. Instead, another location was reportedly used for filming, another backdrop, another carefully selected setting, which means the version of Montecito life audiences have watched for years may not be the home they actually live in. And the real property has remained largely out of public view the entire time.
She is such a wonderful ambassador to the royal family, and it is incredibly touching to see her be so empathetic and compassionate towards people that have suffered or are suffering from something that unfortunately she's had to experience herself. You're talking about sitting at her wedding. Did you ever think she'd be such an exquisite princess?
Now ask yourself this. If someone builds a public image around lifestyle, home life, entertaining, and carefully curated glimpses behind the scenes, why go to such great lengths to keep the actual family home completely out of sight? That's a question more and more people have started asking, and that question becomes even more interesting when you look back at how Harry and Meghan first arrived in North America.
The question then becomes, why now? So what could actually be causing this move? What is actually leading this theory of a move? Well, let's assume for a moment that the rumors are true. What would motivate a move? Well, we know that there are several possibilities. First, privacy. Ironically, the couple who moved to Montecito for privacy have spent years battling media attention in California.
Contrary to what many people remember, they didn't immediately move into a luxury Montecito estate. Instead, they reportedly spent time living at Tyler Perry's heavily secured property while planning their next move. Tyler Perry, one of Hollywood's most successful and influential figures, opened his doors to them during a period of major transition. It was a gesture that attracted enormous attention at the time. Since then, some commentators and longtime followers of the story have speculated about whether Perry's support went beyond simply providing a place to stay.
But what we have to see here is that Harry and Meghan increasingly pursuing independent projects, separate appearances. Meghan most recently spoke out how she just wants to separate herself from Harry and the royal drama, showing she's more independent. She's not really relying on him anymore because she's off at the races doing her own thing.
Questions have circulated about whether any additional assistance may have played a role in helping the couple establish themselves in California. It's important to note that these claims remain speculation. Perry has not publicly confirmed such reports, and Harry and Meghan have not directly addressed them either. Still, one question continues to come up. When the Montecito property was purchased in 2020 for $14.5 million, the couple had only recently stepped away from their roles as working royals. Their major media projects were still taking shape, and many of the revenue streams people associate with them today had not yet fully materialized.
But a source has suggested that something very interesting may be happening behind the scenes. And if true, it could answer a lot of questions about the Sussexes' future.
As a result, discussions about how the purchase was financed have continued for years. And as fresh reports about their business ventures and finances keep making headlines, those questions are receiving renewed attention. Now let's talk about money, because this is where the conversation gets especially interesting. Maintaining a massive estate in Montecito isn't cheap by any stretch of the imagination.
Meghan is just hell-bent like a laser on still breaking into A-list circles in Hollywood. That's all she wants.
Well, it's not worth.
Reports cited by Page 6 claimed that the annual cost of maintaining their lifestyle could reach millions of dollars each year. And we're not talking about building wealth or making investments. We're talking about ongoing expenses. Security personnel, household staff, landscaping crews, property taxes, upkeep, and the countless costs that come with managing a large luxury estate. The numbers being discussed are enough to make anyone's jaw drop.
So when Harry and Meghan purchased their Montecito estate in 2020, it wasn't presented as a temporary stop. It was presented as their fresh start, their California dream, their escape from royal life. Now, their chance to build new futures on their own terms was going to be with this new home, starting fresh. It was a go.
Then there's the question of income. Several of the projects that once seemed like guaranteed long-term successes have faced challenges. The Spotify partnership came to an end, drawing widespread media coverage. During the fallout, a Spotify executive publicly referred to the couple as grifters, a remark that quickly spread across headlines and social media.
Harry is very aware of the fact that he has been demoted from a position where 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when Prince Harry walked into a room, everybody wanted to meet him. Now when Prince Harry walks into a room, everybody wants to avoid him.
The Netflix relationship has also become the subject of intense discussion. While the partnership continues, multiple reports suggest it may not look exactly the same as it did when the original deal first captured worldwide attention. Meanwhile, reports surrounding public appearances and speaking engagements have generated their own debate, with commentators closely watching attendance numbers, ticket sales, and audience interest.
Their finances. Maintaining a massive estate is expensive. You've got security, you've got staff, you've got maintenance, you've got the landscaping, you've got the property taxes. The annual cost alone can be staggering. And third, lifestyle. The reality of living somewhere often turns out to be very, very different from the dream that sold you on it, right?
Every development seems to spark a new round of questions. And then royal commentator Maureen Callahan made a statement just days ago that immediately grabbed attention and got people talking all over again.
I think it's both a personality disorder and an illness. Nobody can be so addicted to publicity that they need on a daily basis to make an ass of themselves by announcing that they're going to go to a funeral that they know they cannot go to. She had to have known she couldn't have gone to it. I mean, did she think because she had scrubbed up an invitation from Balenciaga?
Suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about headlines anymore. It was about what might come next. Maureen Callahan's point was simple, but it landed like a bombshell. She said, the Sussexes are having a lot of trouble monetizing what they used to monetize, and argued that much of the public interest surrounding them was once tied to their connection to royal life. According to her, that source of attention isn't generating the same level of interest it once did. Whether you agree with that assessment or not, it highlights a challenge that many public figures eventually face.
Precisely, when you stop to think he got $1 million from JP Morgan, I mean, that shows to what extent they have declined. I've been told that they are in big trouble financially, hence why they had to get rid of most of their expensive staff. And also, I understand that things are very rocky with them at the moment. And of course, we have to have one tail left eye in sympathy.
What happens when the thing that originally attracted massive attention starts losing its impact? That's the question hanging over this entire story right now. And while people focus on the money, something else has been happening quietly in the background. Inside Archewell, reports suggest there has been a noticeable turnover of staff members, including several senior figures who played important roles within the organization.
The sprawling estate became the backdrop for everything. The backdrop for their Netflix deal, their Spotify, their interviews, you know, the magazine features, all of their business launches, their family photos. This mansion became more than a house. It became a symbol that they had successfully left the royal family behind a created new life in America.
According to various reports, the deputy U.S. press secretary has departed. A long-serving UK media liaison has also moved on. Other experienced team members have reportedly left within a relatively short period of time as well. None of these departures generated huge public announcements. Instead, they seem to happen quietly, one after another.
Her business, as ever, seems to be failing. And Harry is basically going around the country pocketing about 200, 300K per paid speech to private corporations. in North America. What are you hearing, Lady C?
Well, I'm hearing, first of all, that he only got 50,000 for Canada.
Oh, that is brutal. Brutal.
And you can now get him from 30 to 50,000 for smaller things, and it goes up to a maximum of 100 for larger things. That's what I'm hearing. Clearly, you're hearing something slightly different.
Well, the numbers are inflated here in America, because I would bet your sourcing is dead on. 30K? That is a bargain basement.
Of course, staff turnover happens in every organization. People change jobs, pursue new opportunities, and move in different directions all the time. On its own, that's not unusual. But observers have pointed out that when an organization is already facing questions about future projects, public interest, and long-term strategy, the departure of experienced communication staff naturally attracts more attention. These aren't just random positions. These are people who often understand the inner workings of the operation better than anyone else. That's why some commentators see these departures as more than routine staffing changes. They see them as potential indicators of a larger shift taking place behind the scenes.
The whole family, I understand, it's not only Charles. The whole family has been absolutely horrified by the trajectory Harry has allowed Meghan to shoot them on. Let's put it that way.
Whether that's true remains open to debate, but the speculation certainly isn't going away. And here's something history has shown time and time again. When high-profile organizations go through periods of change, information has a way of finding its way into public view sooner or later. Former employees move on, industry insiders talk, and pieces of the puzzle gradually start coming together. That's why many people are paying close attention to what happens next.
Don't think that people didn't notice, because if you or I notice how the put-downs have been slivered in, because Meghan is a sneaky so-and-so. She very seldom comes outright and says something. She insinuates it normally. And when she doesn't insinuate it, she's very clipped with it.
Now let's move to a part of the story that many critics find especially revealing, even though very little has been said publicly about it. Montecito is one of the most exclusive communities in America. Some of the biggest names in entertainment and business live there. People with enormous wealth, influence, and connections call that area home. It's a place where privacy is valued, relationships matter, and social circles can be incredibly selective. Over the past few years, reports and commentary have suggested that Harry and Meghan may not be as closely connected to the local celebrity scene as many initially expected.
Harry and Meghan's lifestyle comes with a big price tag. Their Montecito mansion isn't exactly cheap. $14 million was spent on the house, which boasts a pool and tennis court, as well as famous neighbours. Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres live nearby. The couple's reportedly planning to sell up and move to Malibu, although unconfirmed, it's unclear if they need to downsize to free up some cash, or they just desire a change of scenery for their family of 4. Prince Harry takes security of his loved ones very seriously and pays for around-the-clock bodyguards, thought to cost millions of dollars a year.
There have been claims of social distance, fewer public associations, and less visible integration into the elite circles that once seemed eager to welcome them. It's important to note that much of this remains speculation. No major public campaign exists against them. No flood of interviews, no dramatic public statements. But critics argue that sometimes silence can be just as noticeable as headlines. After all, when they moved to Montecito, many people assumed they would become major fixtures within Hollywood's most influential social circles.
This was supposed to be their forever home, forever, ever, ever, ever. They were on the Freedom Flight. They had to wait to find the perfect place, and this was going to be it. This was going to be the rest of their lives. So when Harry and Meghan purchased their Montecito estate in 2020, it wasn't presented as a temporary stop. It was presented as their fresh start.
That was part of the narrative surrounding their move to California. A fresh start, a powerful network, and endless opportunities waiting ahead. Yet the reality appears far more complicated. Because one lesson keeps showing up throughout this story. You can leave behind a title, a country, or even an institution. But public perception tends to follow you wherever you go. And that brings us to what may be the most surprising twist of all. And now we come to another twist that has people talking.
But as far as she's concerned, as long as her name is in the paper, it doesn't matter.
Yes, bad attention is better than no attention. You know, I have two thoughts about the Valentino story, which really, you know, it takes a lot to shock me when it comes to Meghan Markle. And it shocked me, not only for its utter ghoulishness, not only for the reptilian nature in which she regards any gathering of celebrities.
According to reports and claims from various sources, Meghan is no longer completely satisfied with life in Montecito. The issue, according to those reports, is location. Montecito offers privacy and luxury, but it also means regular travel back and forth to Los Angeles for meetings, business opportunities, and industry connections. Sources claim she would prefer to be much closer to the center of the action. Areas like Bel Air and Malibu have reportedly been mentioned as possibilities, putting her closer to Hollywood, major business contacts, and the entertainment world she has long been associated with.
According to insiders, the prince confessed that he wants a divorce and claims he would have never married Meghan if a specific person, and he named the person, and we're going to give you the name of the person during the video, hadn't personally vouched for her character and encouraged him to date this woman. And here's where the drama reaches another level, because witnesses claim that he told that Meghan Markle has no intention of agreeing to a divorce unless Harry meets the list of extraordinary, outrageous demand, which has created a standoff between Harry and Meghan Markle, which could drag on for years.
But here's where the story takes a surprising turn. Even if a move is desired, making it happen may not be nearly as simple as it sounds. According to commentators who follow the couple's finances closely, maintaining one large luxury property is already an expensive undertaking. Maintaining two at the same time would be an entirely different challenge altogether. That's where the conversation starts getting complicated. The Montecito estate may have increased significantly in value since it was purchased. On paper, some estimates place its value far above the original purchase price. But as many financial experts point out, estimated property value and available cash are two very different things. A house can be worth millions and still require enormous yearly expenses to keep running.
The secret sale theory is this. Now, let's talk about the rumor, what is going on. Now, according to information circulating privately, there are claims that the property may be quietly marketed behind the scenes. Again, there is no real public evidence or public listing of this, no official information, no verified real estate documents. But what I do have is I have an email that Paula M. sent to me that I found interesting.
So if reports about relocation plans are accurate, any move could depend heavily on timing, finances, and what happens with the current property first. In other words, it may not be a case of simply packing boxes and moving down the coast tomorrow. And that's where many critics see a layer of irony in the story. Harry left royal life in search of greater independence and flexibility. Montecito was presented as a symbol of a fresh start, a place where new opportunities could flourish away from palace walls and royal expectations.
And this email talks about the private sale to a pretend buyer. And as you can see, they are requesting an opportunity to see the property. And then there's information about an NDA to take time to review it. No phones are allowed, like the typical scenario that you would expect from a couple who they don't want people to know.
Yet some reports now paint a picture of a couple who may once again feel limited by circumstances. Not by royal duties, not by palace rules, but by practical realities that affect everyone, regardless of status or title. That's the contrast that has captured so much attention. Now let's get to the claim that has sparked the biggest discussion of all. Because everything we've covered so far, the questions about finances, the staff changes, the speculation about future plans, and the reports of wanting a different location, all lead back to one central rumor. For months, persistent claims have circulated that the Montecito property may be quietly attracting interest behind the scenes.
Okay, so that's what that looks like. The luxury real estate world, some of the biggest transactions never appear on public websites. Now, celebrities, they frequently use private brokers. They have these private showings, private buyer networks, a lot of confidentiality, and then they have these agreements. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, why? Why do they need to do that? Because the last thing a celebrity wants is 1,000 strangers touring their home or photographs documenting every viewing. Now, if Harry and Meghan were exploring a sale, an off-market approach would actually make perfect sense.
It's important to stress that these reports remain unverified. There has been no public listing, no official announcement, and no confirmation from Harry or Meghan themselves. But according to the rumors, if conversations are taking place, they aren't happening through the normal channels most people would expect. Instead, the claims describe the kind of discreet process often associated with ultra-high-end real estate transactions. Private brokers, confidential discussions, potential buyers being carefully screened, the kind of arrangements designed to keep attention away from the process. Some reports even suggest that strict confidentiality measures could be involved during any private viewings, though none of this has been independently confirmed. Still, it's exactly the sort of detail that keeps speculation alive and gets people talking. And here's why critics find the story so fascinating.
Meanwhile, the couple's children are said to be caught in the middle as emotions run high and the conflict intensifies. What is worse for Harry is that he did turn to the palace, asking them for help, to help them mediate between him and Meghan Markle, because at this point in time, they can't even talk to each other without getting into arguments. And we're going to hear from Harry, and we're going to show you how Meghan Markle tricked this man.
Given that I didn't know a lot about him, everything that I've learned about him, I learned through him.
How she really catfished him.
If the property were ever sold publicly, many would immediately start asking why. Was it simply a lifestyle decision? A desire for a different location? Or would people interpret it as evidence that larger challenges were unfolding behind the scenes? That's why a potential sale carries so much weight in the eyes of supporters and critics alike. To some observers, it would represent nothing more than a wealthy family changing homes. To others, it would become a symbol of whether the California chapter truly lived up to expectations. For now, none of it has been officially confirmed. But if there's one thing we've learned from stories involving celebrities, billion-dollar brands, and luxury real estate, it's this: secrets rarely stay hidden forever. Eventually, somebody talks. And sooner or later, the truth has a way of finding its way into public view. And beneath all the headlines, the money questions, the mansion rumors, the business deals, and the staff departures, there is another side to this story that many people find genuinely sad to watch unfold.
The timing is very interesting. Yeah, so what makes this particular story fascinating is the timing. Now, at the same moment, reports continue emerging about Frogmore Cottage being renovated and repurposed in the United Kingdom. Speculation is growing about the future of the Sussexes' California base. Now, it's almost symbolic. The UK home is gone, the royal role is gone, and now some are wondering whether the California dream could eventually be next.
No matter where you stand on Harry and Meghan, the reports circulating paint the picture of someone who may be struggling with the reality of how dramatically life has changed. Various claims have suggested that Harry opened up during a social event in Los Angeles, speaking candidly about his frustrations and regrets. It's important to note that these reports remain unverified, but they have certainly fueled intense discussion online. According to those claims, he expressed disappointment about how certain aspects of his post-royal life have turned out. Reports have also suggested that he misses parts of his former life in the United Kingdom, misses family connections, and has looked back on past decisions very differently than he once did. The family situation is also frequently discussed by royal commentators. Because Harry and Meghan have built their lives in California, any major change involving where the family lives would naturally involve significant personal and legal considerations. That's one reason why speculation about the future continues to attract so much attention. Meanwhile, Harry's ties to the royal family remain a constant source of debate. Every family event, every public appearance, and every reported interaction becomes another headline. Fairly or unfairly, People continue to analyze what those relationships look like today compared to where they stood 6 years ago. Even places that once symbolized his royal life have changed. Circumstances move on, properties are repurposed, family dynamics evolve, and institutions continue forward. Time has a way of changing everything, whether people are ready for it or not. Perhaps that's what makes this story so fascinating. 6 years ago, Harry and Meghan presented a vision of a completely different future. Supporters saw hope and independence. Critics saw risks and potential consequences. Both sides believed they understood where the story was heading. Now, years later, people are looking at the same events through a completely different lens. And for many longtime royal watchers, the biggest question is no longer why Harry and Meghan left. The question is whether the life they found was really the one they expected when they made that choice in the first place. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for Crown Clash. We bring you the latest royal news, drama, and headlines every single day, so you never miss a major update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.